Traditional Prime Minister of the Zulu Nation, Inkosi of the Buthelezi clan and President Emeritus of the Inkatha Freedom Party, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, will be honoured with a special official Category 1 funeral in Ulundi today. Following the official proceedings where President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to deliver the eulogy, the burial is expected to take place in a private ceremony with family, close friends and associates. Let's get a sense of what to expect today with an anthropologist at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Dr. Balungile Zondi. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. Today is really a day for the Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi to be laid to rest. It's been a busy few days as the preparations were underway. Yesterday we saw Zulu regiments, Amabuto, accompanying his remains back home ahead of his funeral today. As that process played out, we saw the chanting happening as well as speaking to his remains, and as that process happened from the mortuary to his home. Let's talk a little bit about that and what it essentially signified in line with Zulu culture.
Good morning, Paul and viewers at home. Let me just start by expressing my heartfelt condolences. It was also not a very easy moment for me because I was away when I heard of the sudden passing of Inkosi. And since then, I've been then noticing, the behavior of South Africans as a whole, and also paying close attention to what is really happening in the family clan. And it was heartwarming to see that the sudden passing of Inkosi has really brought South Africa and many other international countries together, because they've been sending virtually their condolences, and we've even seen the political leadership visiting the Buthelezi clan. So for me, the pattern of behaviors that we have seen really signifies is that Amazulu would say kuwe umtu omkhulu. The sudden passing of Inkosi Yagwa Ubaba Buthelezi has really left us all, crying and mourning, and this is the time where we should be optimizing his life and celebrating his legacy, which is, for me as a cultural anthropologist, is tangible, because we often talk about things that we cannot touch, but his work remains one of the work that one would keep on making reference to, because he has not only been politically active, but he has been also forthcoming and leading many discussions that has brought the whole of South Africa to where we are. We are celebrating democracy in our own diversity because of his significant contributions. So I think we would then not be doing justice to him and honoring not only the family during this time, but it would not be saying that we know him. We would be undermining his leadership. Hence, I'm saying that the behavior of people mourning, lowering their normal behaviors, really signifies that he was just an extraordinary leader that we had in our time.
Let's perhaps put some emphasis around this behavior, because it comes in many facets. It's twofold. You have people celebrating him, his work, the legacy that he leaves behind, his role as the Inkosi of the Buthelezi clan, and of course Prime Minister. And then there's the other end that has resulted in South Africans reacting as well. The behavior of South Africa, as you put it, has also come with some criticism. Some saying that he doesn't deserve to be celebrated, given the atrocities of the Inkatha Freedom Party in the 1990s, what people were subjected to, the trauma and all of that. How do you round that up as we lay him to rest, and of course just try and bring in all facets of this vibrant man who played such a huge role in the political space as well as for the Amazulu nation?
Oh, thank you so much for the question. One needs to express that the history that has been written by many political leaders in South Africa has sort of been misrepresented, and politicians would know that when the media sector decides to report on a particular, phenomenon, they would want to spice it up. And would all understand that back in the years, there were so many things that were happening, many political parties were involved in fighting for the democracy that we are celebrating. So it happened that there was a clash between the ANC and the IUP. Not to say he wanted to, or he orchestrated all that happened. Maybe that could be a discussion for another day, But today we are a democratic country, and one of our activism is through, the right to, freely express who we are. But AmaZulu, and within the context of the spirit of Ubuntu, when someone has died, we always say, we forgive him. Forgiveness, comes, and AmaZulu would even say, lacking a translation for other ethnic group would be to say, simfisela ukuthi simthindithe uthuli lasemhlabeni. So for me, I really felt that, as, the community of South Africa, reflecting on those, bad historical moments that are setting us back, it's just a waste of time. But then I liked what the family did. And I was watching news that one of his son, came out to say, let's forget about the history that is not taking us anywhere. He then echoed his father's sentiments, having mentioned that he was an icon for social cohesion. He said, if there have been cracks, that we have not been able to mend over the years, let us just use this time, to come together and stelelana manzi, which is a ritual, a process that whoever has been in conflict, when eventually they come into agreement that it is high time that they put down the tools, they would definitely do. Yeah. So I believe that we need to move from that. And again, what I've also seen is that Amabutho, afikile azobhongela emswaneni, they've really, because they've been left shattered. For him to pass at this time means that they're probably asking who is going to take over Amabutho, who is going to be Umlawuli Mabuto, who is going to be leading, the chieftaincies that we have in the province. So obviously, for them to really express how much they are broken, they really have to come showing, dressed up in their regalias, singing very types of songs, songs that are celebrating his life, songs that are a send off to the land of the ancestors, and songs that are also, ushering peace and harmony, being who he was. And that would be my take.
Whoever is going to take on that role has big shoes to fill. Who are the likely candidates, and what kind of qualities would they need to embody?
Knowing the Buthelezi clan, it will be premature for me to have to talk about that particular person. However, already currently, I think talks within the family, which I think are going privately, would be to first not to just pick just because people would love that person, but because that person has really symbolized, some of the traits that Nkosi has been living. So I think it will be premature of me to even engage as far as that, because oftentimes we know where we come from as South Africans, where we would, make statements, and all those statements would even, start conflicts, And so I think it's fair that we should allow the family to grieve, And I trust the family, because I've been even listening to some of the female Amakosazana. Ubaba Buthelezi has really planted, maturity in all his kids. So that should that process start, I think it would be just straightforward with no conflict, because they would want to make sure that the legacy of their father, is not tarnished by any foolish behavior, as they maybe would want to contest.
Yeah.
And even if it moves out of the family, I think that person would clearly understand that I am not doing it just for my own selfish reasons, but I am entering in a space that has really had a giant.
So in line with the tradition, perhaps assertions have been made about the possibilities for the funeral. One is that perhaps he may have been secretly buried already, laid to rest yesterday, in line with tradition, or perhaps not. What do you think could be the options that would have needed to be considered in line with tradition, and of course measuring the stature of Prince Buthelezi?
Interesting question, Mpho. One really needs to express that when Inkosi comes to a point of sleeping deeply, Inkosi does not die, Inkosi yabuza. And when Inkosi ibuza, it's a matter of responding to an invitation that has been brought by ancestors. So he would not be laid just like an ordinary man. His process, his ritual, funeral, his funeral would be ritualized. So it could happen that he's already been, sent to the land of the ancestors. So it could happen that today it is just a memorial ceremony which would be promoting or accommodating diversity. Because, I would want to express that people around the world of different ethnic groups and races would want to come. But for any other Inkosi, there is that private, ritualized funeral that is observed.
We also learned that a giraffe and other wild animals were also slaughtered on Friday morning. Is there any significance at all to the giraffe, or just in line with the cultural practices which may be taking place?
Well, I'm not going to be particular with regards to the giraffe.
Yeah.
But AmaZulu, there's a deep cultural meaning of the food that gets served during funerals, and in this instance, this is just not an ordinary funeral. Many Zulu families have their totems, so it could mean that the food that gets served there, is also in line with the celebration of their totems. And let me just also express that while we think that in the funeral there would be people that we see, in that space there are ancestors that can only be seen, by people that are deeply rooted in the spiritual realm, because the sudden passing of Inkosi does not only invite abantu, ordinary human beings like me and yourself, but even ancestors. They are there to make sure that the process, goes is spiritualized. The process goes smooth. And I know that for many Zulus would understand, or for many people whose spiritual realm is anchored, in celebrating ancestors. So the food that is being celebrated there, it is celebrated because it symbolizes the kind of Inkosi that he has been.
Yeah.
And it also means that, yeah, carry on.
You speak about a spiritual sort of man, but there was also within the spiritual man a religious man. And how do you imagine those two cultural, spiritual elements and religious elements merging at this funeral service?
There is a great expectation to see that, as I would also believe that his sudden passing did not only touch those that he had been going to church with, but many other, even other cultural and religious churches. So people would be wanting to come and celebrating in the manner that would uplift or usher his spirit to the world of their ancestors. So hence I said in my opening that we are going to see diversity, we are going to see social cohesion, because people would be forgetting about themselves, but making sure that the ceremony is being honored in the best manner that does not even anger the ancestors. Does not even, they would even be at the time of mourning, and others would be even praying that he even send their wishes to their ancestors, because the cultural meaning of Ukshona KwaZulu has really deeper meanings. So already others are saying, "Usikhonzele ko babomkhulu," you know, because we do have a decolonial understanding of death in the South African or in the African context.
Thank you so much. Thanks for that conversation. Cultural anthropologist at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Dr. Balungile Zondi, speaking there about some of the expectations as the funeral service of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi takes place today.